started a live stream to name the piglets on our family farm, using the usernames of all the trolls who were flaming me. When I got to the last piglet, an adorable, chubby white one, I insisted on naming it Chloe. The whole thing blew up and went viral. Then, to everyone's shock, the A-list actress herself fired back with a post on Twitter. It was a picture of her, Chloe, hugging a husky with the caption, "This one's name is Ethan. After 3 years of trying to make it in Hollywood, I was still a total Z-lister. During a reality show, I accidentally knocked over the big shot actor Ryan Peterson while trying to save a teammate. The internet immediately canceled me, with trolls everywhere calling me a malicious jerk. You can't hide things forever, and eventually my billionaire old man found out. My dad wants me to inherit his multi-billion-dollar fortune, but I have zero interest, so I snuck off to Hollywood behind his back. Now that this whole mess happened, he sent his guys to exile me to our family's farm in upstate New York. My daily routine became feeding pigs, eating, and sleeping. Later, the sows had a bunch of cute piglets, and I got so bored I decided to make my own fun by starting a live stream and letting the internet name them. The moment I went live, tens of thousands of people poured into my stream, which totally shocked me. Anyone watching would have thought I was some huge star. The truth is, I've always been famous for being infamous. The web series I starred in were flops, and on reality shows I was known for doing whatever it took to win. As more people flooded the chat, I herded the piglets together, cleared my throat and said, "Hey everyone, it's Ethan Blackwood. I'm trying to name my piglets, so I was wondering if you guys had any good suggestions for me." The live comments were instantly filled with hate. "Ethan is such a loser, he's raising pigs now," one said. "Knew you were just a hick from the sticks," said another. Watching the chat scroll by, I felt a little bummed. They were so busy flaming me that no one was actually giving me any names. Then, I saw one comment and an idea sparked. If they were going to hurt me with words, why couldn't I use their usernames to name my pigs? I found the user who was trolling me the hardest and picked out the ugliest piglet, a dark little thing with a serious underbite. I held the piglet up to the camera and announced, "All right folks, I've made a decision. This ugliest piglet right here is now named No Poop Sherlock." The chat feed paused for a second, then erupted with LMAO and ha ha ha. Someone even sent me a few small virtual lollipop gifs. "That's hilarious. Dude, you're unhinged," one comment read. "LMAO, yes. Get EM," said another. As the chat filled with wisses, another comment caught my eye. A user named Ashley Loves Hunks wrote, "Why are you always chasing clout? So pathetic." Just then, another piglet started rubbing against my leg. I scooped it up, shoved its face into the camera, and declared, "This one, the second ugliest piglet, will now be known as Ashley Loves Ugly Dudes." The chat exploded with laughter again, with zero regard for the user's feelings. One viewer was so entertained they sent me a Galaxy, one of the most expensive virtual gifts. It was my first time streaming and my first time seeing anything like it. The animation was dazzling. This guy kept sending me the priciest gifts, which only hyped up the rest of the viewers even more. My stream descended into chaos, with the chat spammed with LMAO, and "Are you for real, dude?" I had to cut in. All right, chill with the spam. I've still got dozens of pigs to name here." I then proceeded to name piglet after my haters in the chat. Finally, only one piglet was left. It was a chubby, white, and incredibly cute one. The viewers were telling me to hurry up and pick a final name. I paused for a moment before saying, "This one, her name is Chloe." The chat immediately blew up. "What? Say that again. You're naming a pig after my queen? Dude, do you have a death wish?" Seeing their reactions, I doubled down. "This piglet can only be named Chloe. It's not up for debate." I didn't care what they thought. I just picked up the piglet and ended the stream. Bad press is still press, right? So what if I was using Chloe's fame for clout? Besides, I was stuck on this farm because of her. Couldn't I get a little revenge to feel better? My relationship with Chloe is complicated, to say the least. We're frenemies. Our grandfathers were best friends, and since our parents' generation, the Blackwoods and the Vanderbilts have been inseparable. We were neighbors. Our family businesses are deeply intertwined, and our two families have always had each other's backs. So yeah, Chloe and I basically grew up together. We were in the same class from kindergarten all the way through high school, classmates for almost 2 decades. We even went to the same university, though we had different majors. Chloe was always perfect, so naturally I was always being compared to her, and I always came up short. My mother passed away when I was young, and my dad was always busy, so he'd often leave me in Chloe's care. Even though we were the same age, she was always the one bossing me around. If I got a bad grade, she'd be the one to chew me out. But something shifted in college. After I got a bunch of my friends to help me give her a love letter, she started acting different. She still cared about me, but it wasn't the same. Then I went to study abroad, and she never once reached out. By the time I returned to the States, she was already a famous, award-winning actress. We ran into each other a few times after that, but by then I was also trying to make it in Hollywood, so we barely spoke to avoid rumors. To the public, Chloe is this cool, aloof goddess. In reality, she's incredibly petty and holds a grudge like nobody's business. Just like when we were kids, every time I messed up, she'd snitch to my dad. Now, whenever some bad press about me surfaces, she forwards it straight to him, and my dad proceeds to chew me out. That video of me accidentally knocking over Ryan Peterson? Chloe was the one who sent it to my dad. The very next day, I was shipped off to the farm. So, me naming a pig after her? Totally justified, right? I even gave her the cutest one. My smug satisfaction didn't last long, because I suddenly blew up online. The actress had posted on Twitter. At 6 in the morning, I was dead asleep when a frantic call from my agent, Liz, jolted me awake. I groggily answered, and her shrill voice screamed through the phone, "Ethan, look at the mess you've made. It's bad enough you named pigs after trolls, but you had to use an A-list celebrity's name." I was still half asleep. I yawned and mumbled, "What, a lister? Who are you talking about?" I could practically hear Liz crushing her phone on the other end. "Ethan, check what's trending on Twitter. I'm coming to get you, and I don't care if you have to dig a tunnel. You are getting your butt back to Los Angeles." I unlocked my phone, saw the trending topics, and my stomach dropped. Hashtag zealous celebnamespig after Chloe Vanderbilt. Hashtag Hoys Ethan Blackwoodand Weashesobald. Hashtag actress Chloe Vanderbilt fires back with late night post. Hashtag. My hands were shaking as I opened Chloe's Twitter, and my brain just went numb. This one's name is Ethan. The accompanying photo was of Chloe hugging a small husky. I shot straight up in bed. Seriously, what is wrong with her? She's the one who snitched on me to my dad and got me sent here in the first place. What's the big deal about me naming a pig after her? Scrolling through Twitter, I saw most people were hating on me, some were mocking me, and others were speculating about our relationship. There were even comments saying I was nothing compared to Ryan Peterson and wasn't good enough for Chloe. Reading that made me clench my jaw. I immediately shot Chloe a text on iMessage. "Are you insane, Chloe? Look at what you posted. You're making my life impossible. Delete it right now." It was like she was waiting for me, because she replied instantly. It was a voice note. I heard her light chuckle, a sound like a feather that could make your heart itch. "I'm not deleting it," she said. Then she went silent, ignoring all my frantic follow-up texts. I quickly got dressed and packed, and with Liz's help, I managed to escape the farm. As I left, I felt a little sad to leave the piglets behind. "I'll be back for you guys," I thought. Liz told me she'd booked me on a reality show, saying I should ride this wave of publicity. I was definitely famous now, just in the most ridiculous way possible. Standing on the set, I was completely dazed. The producers were clearly just trying to stir up drama. They knew Ryan and I had beef, but they put us on the same team anyway. I didn't really care as long as we won, but the live audience was not happy. Why is Ethan Blackwood even here? Can this loser stop riding Ryan's coattails? Ugh, why is he everywhere? Honestly, I didn't want to be there either. Who wants to see the guy who basically got them cancelled? The moment I saw Ryan, my mood soured. The game was over almost as soon as it started. Ryan was a completely useless teammate. Even though I kept winning my rounds, it didn't matter. Our team score was the lowest, and we had to face the penalty. The host had this wicked grin that told me nothing good was coming. I was right. The penalty is, you must send the text, "I miss you, can you come back?" to the very first contact in your iMessage. The moment he said it, the audience and the other guests went wild, everyone screaming for us to do it. I nearly choked. Who was the first person on my recents list? Couldn't be Chloe, could it? Oh God, it was. My face must have gone pale because I really didn't want to do this. Ryan went first, pulling out his phone. He opened his iMessage to the first contact, which was just saved as a single letter, C. His face went rigid, and his thumb hovered over the screen for a second before he finally hit send. A reply came back almost instantly. "I miss you too, baby. I'll head over in a bit." Ryan frantically locked his screen, gripping his phone tightly. One of the other guests gasped, "No way, is that Chloe Vanderbilt?" Hearing her name, everyone got even more excited, urging Ryan to text back. Ryan just shook his head and mumbled, "Guys, don't start rumors. It's not Chloe's number." No one believed him based on his reaction, and they started chanting for him to send another message. Ryan just said quietly, "I've already done the penalty. Please, let's not bother her." That just made the audience go crazier. "It's definitely Chloe. They must be dating." I stayed silent through the whole thing. I knew that wasn't Chloe's profile picture, but it looked so familiar. I just couldn't place it. The host finally settled the crowd down. Okay, Ryan has faced his punishment. Now it's Ethan's turn. All eyes were on me. As much as I didn't want to send that text to Chloe, I've never been one to back down from a dare. It was just one sentence. I could do it. I opened iMessage. The first name was Chloe, with a dog emoji next to it as her contact photo. I gritted my teeth, typed out the message, and hit send. I miss you. Can you come back? I was praying she wouldn't reply. I'd have given anything for her not to reply. But of course, she texted back immediately. You miss me. Even if you do, I'm still telling your dad on you. And another thing, why didn't you ever say you missed me when you were abroad? You lost a game of truth or dare, didn't you? I'm not falling for it this time. Staring at the rapid-fire texts, I felt my soul leave my body. Why was Chloe so unpredictable? What happened to her cool, aloof persona? The next second, a FaceTime call from her popped up. I frantically declined it, only to get another text immediately. Answer the phone. Just seeing those 3 words, I could perfectly picture her expression. Her gorgeous eyes would be narrowed, filled with annoyance. If I kept ignoring her, she'd eventually whisper, Ethan, be good. And whenever she did that, I'd cave in seconds and tell her everything. Worried the audience would figure out who it was, I quickly texted, I'm filming a show, and shut off my phone. The audience was buzzing, totally shocked by the exchange. Whoever that is, they're hilarious. Kinda like a clingy but proud puppy. That dog emoji Ethan has for them makes perfect sense now. Listening to the audience, I had to laugh to myself. Calling Chloe a puppy? They had no idea how bold they were being. But there was a reason I used that emoji for her. Because sometimes her actions were just plain savage. My whole life, whenever Chloe got involved in my business, it always ended badly for me. When we were kids, I'd be the one waiting in the creek to catch fish or climbing trees for birds' eggs, and she'd just stand there watching me, expressionless. I'd be nice and give her a couple of the eggs, and she'd immediately march them over to my grandpa, which would earn me a scolding. In school, if I got into a fight, I'd beg her not to tell my dad. She'd promise she wouldn't, then immediately go and rat me out, and I'd get grounded. And this most recent time, I specifically asked her not to tell my dad about the whole internet cancellation thing. She just looked at me, nodded, and said, okay. The very next day, I was gifted an all-expenses-paid trip to pig-feeding Palooza. Her methods are ruthless. In today's terms, she's a professional backstabber. That's why she's got the dog emoji. And now this, posting on Twitter to clap back at me, naming a husky Ethan. She was obviously trying to stir up trouble and make people misunderstand. Chloe is rich, beautiful, and has been everyone's dream girl since we were kids. She's always poised and polite, a little distant but never rude. To be honest, I've had a crush on her too. Everything I said before was just me being stubborn and proud. But my crush was one-sided. When I once asked her if she wanted to date, she told me, I only think of you as a little brother, so I knew I shouldn't get my hopes up. I just had to play my part as the little brother. She could end up with anyone, but it would never be me. I act like I don't care about anything, but the truth is, I hang on every word Chloe says. But I'm also a total coward. The moment I heard some senior in college had confessed his feelings for her, I panicked, packed my bags, and fled the country. So the guy who came back is all about his career and making money. As for love, whatever happens, happens. If I can't be with Chloe now, it just means I'm not successful enough, not rich enough. Once I make enough money, I'm going to date 100 girls just like her. By the time we finished filming the show, it was the middle of the night. Liz drove me home, with me basically melted into a puddle of exhaustion in the passenger seat. I was thinking about how my dad would definitely be waiting for me in the living room, and wondering how I was going to smooth things over with him. Should I tell him I didn't mean to sneak off? That I just wanted to get out for a bit? That my best friend was on a hunger strike after a breakup and I had to go save him? Nah, none of those excuses would fly. I figured my best bet was to put on a big show of crying and apologizing, followed by a 10,000-word written promise to be good. That ought to work. My dad spoils me, he'd never actually punish me too harshly. I had my whole performance planned out. It was going to be an explosive entrance. I sighed. I couldn't believe I was about to use my acting skills on my own father. Sorry, Dad. I thought guiltily, I don't want to do this, but you leave me no choice. Standing in front of the massive door of our mansion, I took a deep breath and a step back. The instant our butler, Alfred, opened it, I slid in on my knees and launched into my dramatic performance. My dearest father, I didn't mean to run away. A few of the piglets bit me, and the pain was unbearable, so I had to escape. I know I shouldn't have left without telling you. Please forgive me. My performance was so convincing, with real tears streaming down my face, that I almost moved myself. Too bad my dad was completely unfazed. As I was wondering why he wasn't helping me up, a painfully familiar voice cut through the air. "What in the world are you doing, you goofball? Kneeling in front of Chloe like that? Have you no shame?" I whipped my head around to see my dad standing there, which meant the legs I was clinging to belonged to. I looked up and saw Chloe, desperately trying to suppress a smile. Her eyes were twinkling with mirth as she said my name softly, "Ethan." Oh my God, this was mortifying on a whole new level. "Can someone please tell me why Chloe was at my house in the middle of the night instead of her own?" I slowly got to my feet. "Dad, not a bad performance, huh? Also, what is Chloe doing here so late?" My dad gave me a light smack on the head. "It's been ages since Chloe has been over. Is this any way to treat a guest?" he scolded. Then he turned to her, all smiles. "Chloe dear, don't mind him. He's not all there sometimes. It's been so long, you two should catch up." My eyes went wide. What was there for us to talk about? It was late. Chloe should be heading home. Her parents would be worried. Chloe just smiled sweetly. "My parents are on vacation in Europe, and I seem to have misplaced my keys. I was hoping I could stay here for the night, if Mr. Blackwood and Ethan don't mind." I stared at her, my eyes wide. She was lying through her teeth. She lost her keys? Then what was that huge keychain I just saw sitting on the console table by the door? Something was definitely up. I decided to play it cool and see what she was planning. My dad was completely unfazed. "You can stay in your usual room. Just let Ethan know if you need anything." Chloe nodded sweetly and told my dad to get some rest. Dad gave a little wave, telling us both to get to bed early and not to stay up too late. I saw my dad pause as he rounded the corner. He turned back to me and said, "You take good care of Chloe. She told me you were deliberately ignoring her texts today." I scoffed. I knew it. She was here to tattle on me again. What was her game this time? Once my dad was out of sight, I marched up to her. "Chloe, what are you really doing here?" I demanded. She looked down, and the warm light from the lamp caught her hair, making it shimmer. For a second, I was transported back in time, seeing her as she was when she used to tutor me late at night under a desk lamp. She gave a weary smile. "You weren't answering my texts. I was worried about you, sweetie." Hearing that pet name sent a shiver down my spine, and I immediately got defensive. For years, that name was her secret weapon. It always got a reaction out of me because it was tied to a secret story that only the two of us knew. When I was 17, my family's business went through a major crisis, and my dad was working around the clock. He couldn't look after me, so he left me in the care of the Vanderbilts. That's when I started walking to and from school with Chloe every day. One afternoon, we were walking home from school, and Chloe was waiting for me to buy a hot dog from a street vendor. As I passed an alley, I heard a faint, whimpering sound. Something felt wrong, so I told Chloe to wait and quickly ducked into the dark alley. I followed the sound and found a tiny kitten covered in blood. Couldn't have been more than a few weeks old, but some monster had tortured it. It was lying on the ground, struggling to breathe. I knelt down and saw how badly it was hurt. Its jaw was twisted, its left front paw had been partially hacked off, and one of its ears was sliced. It was lying there in a pool of its own blood, letting out the faintest meow, as if it was begging me to save it. I could barely take care of myself back then, but I gently scooped it into my arms, ready to get it out of there. Just then, 3 guys holding steel pipes blocked the alley entrance. One of them spat on the ground and snarled at me. "Kid, mind your own business. Put the little beast down and get lost before you get in the way of us making a living." I saw the camera in their hands and figured it out. They were the kind of scum who made and sold animal abuse videos. I sneered, pulling the trembling kitten closer to my chest. "You're worse than animals, making money off this kind of filth," I spat. "You're just pathetic bullies who prey on the helpless. You make me sick." "What the hell did you say?" the skinny one with tattoos yelled, swinging his pipe as he charged at me. "I'm gonna teach you some damn respect." I dodged his swing easily. I'd spent a few summers with my grandmother, and she had taught me some basic kickboxing and jiu-jitsu for self-defense. I leaned back, dodging the first guy's pipe, and saw an opening. I used his thigh as a springboard to launch a kick at the tattooed guy, then followed up with a spinning kick that sent the third guy flying. Through all of this, the kitten was quiet, nestled in the crook of my arm as if it knew I was protecting it. Seeing his buddies on the ground, the last guy lost it and charged at me, throwing a punch. I had to fight him off one-handed, still holding the kitten. I caught his wrist, gave it a sharp twist, and forced him to his knees. Another one tried to sneak up on me, but I sent him flying with a kick. But in that split second of distraction, the guy on his knees viciously grabbed the kitten's mangled paw. Its shriek of pain echoed through the alley. I drove my knee hard into his chin. He coughed up blood and passed out cold. It all happened in a few seconds, but it was enough of an opening for them. The skinny guy's knife sliced through my school jacket, leaving a deep cut across my back. The pain made me drop to one knee. I saw the steel pipe swinging towards my head and squeezed my eyes shut. Whatever, I thought. So I'll be laid up for a few months. At least I saved a life. After a moment, I realized nothing had happened. I opened my eyes. The tattooed guy was lying on the ground, blood gushing from a wound on his head. And standing over him, holding a bloody brick, was Chloe. She was silhouetted against the light, the brick in her hand dripping with blood. Her expression was wild and ferocious, her eyes like a stormy ocean. Her eyes were bloodshot, and the veins were popping out on her hands. But the moment she saw me, her face softened. She dropped the brick and started to kneel down to check on me. But then she saw the gash on my back, which must have been nearly 8 inches long. I couldn't see it, but I could feel the warmth of the blood soaking through my shirt. It was the first time I had ever seen Chloe look panicked. The Chloe I knew was always calm and collected, like nothing in the world could rattle her. But now, I saw her hands shaking as she called her family's driver and then 911, all while trying to soothe me. "Ethan, don't be scared," she whispered. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm here now." I wrapped my arms around her as she trembled, resting my chin on her shoulder. Her familiar scent was strangely calming. "I'm not scared, Chloe," I said. A few minutes later, the ambulance arrived for me, and the kitten was rushed to an emergency vet. The doctor who treated me was shocked by the severity of the cut. When he started using tweezers to peel the dried blood and fabric away from the wound, the pain was so intense I screamed, writhing on the examination table and clutching Chloe's arm for dear life. Since the cut was on my back, I had to be shirtless, lying face down on the bed. I saw Chloe's cheeks flush, and she awkwardly looked away, but she reached out and gently stroked my hair to comfort me. Cleaning the wound was one thing, but the disinfecting part was pure agony. The cut was so deep it felt like the alcohol swab was digging right into the muscle. The burning was like fire, a pain that shot straight to the bone. Sweat and tears streamed down my face. It hurt so much, I just started bawling like a baby. Hearing me cry, Chloe's fists tightened. Finally, she gave in and turned towards me. I buried my face against her and wrapped my arms tightly around her waist, sobbing. She had no choice but to let me cling to her. Out of my sight, I knew her hands were clenched into fists, but she just gently patted my back. The whole agonizing procedure took over an hour. By the end, the doctor, Chloe, and I were all sweating. As the doctor wrapped the bandage around my torso, he told me I needed to apply ointment and change the dressing regularly. He said if I couldn't reach it myself, I should have a friend help. Chloe memorized every word. It was dark by the time I was released from the hospital. After that, every day at school, after every couple of periods, Chloe and I would meet in an empty classroom so she could change my dressing. At first, I was really embarrassed about taking my shirt off in front of her. She just raised an eyebrow. "What's the problem? You were brave enough to get into the fight, but now you're too shy to take off your shirt? Are you a crybaby? Maybe we should start calling you Ethan the Crybaby." "I'm not a crybaby. I'm a hero," I shot back, my face turning red as I reluctantly pulled off my shirt. As she dabbed the ointment on with a cotton swab, she teased, right, you're not Ethan the Crybaby, you're Ethan the Big Crybaby." "Hey, stop it." After she finished, she glanced at my back and gave a little, awkward cough. "Okay, Crybaby, you're done. By the way, the kitten is getting treatment. He's badly hurt, but when he's better, we'll bring him home." She said, "We'll bring him home." Not just me. I was a little stunned, but I just nodded dumbly. "I'm going to name him Rocky," I said suddenly on our walk home. "Because he's a fighter, and he's going to stay strong no matter what." Chloe turned to me, a deadpan look on her face. "He's a boy. I think Crybaby the cat is more fitting." "You're really never going to let that go, are you?" I said. Then I remembered something and stopped walking. Chloe stopped too, raising an eyebrow at me. "Oh man, what happened to those scumbags? I didn't even get to properly finish them off." Chloe's expression was casual, but I could see a storm brewing in her eyes. She just shrugged nonchalantly. "I don't know. Maybe they're dead." "Well, they better hope I never see them again, or they'll be sorry," I grumbled. "I was holding the kitten last time, so I couldn't go all out. Next time, I'll knock all their teeth out." What I didn't know was that while I was recovering, Chloe had already arranged for them to be arrested on a dozen different charges, and had a quiet word with some people to make sure they got special treatment inside. Chloe never let any potential danger get near me. She would do anything and everything to keep me safe. And if that didn't work, she would eliminate the threat herself. So yeah, for all I knew, they were dead, and I'd certainly never see them again. And in the same way, I'd never again see the shy, intense teenage Chloe. Because now, I was dealing with the shameless, childish 25-year-old Chloe. After our little confrontation, I stomped upstairs. When I saw she wasn't following me, I breathed a sigh of relief. After a shower, I flopped onto my bed, completely bewildered. Chloe had been acting so strangely lately. The Twitter post, the aggressive texts, and now showing up at my house. What was her deal? Does she actually like Ryan Peterson? The movie they did together was pretty good, and he's a handsome guy even if he's a snake. On that reality show, I never pushed him. He tried to pull me down and I just shrugged him off. Is that the kind of guy Chloe likes? I pictured Chloe on Ryan's arm, telling me to call him my brother-in-law. I shook my head violently. No way, that's a nightmare. But what if she really did like him? My thoughts spiraled until my mind went blank. A knock on the door snapped me out of it. Without looking, I called out, "Mrs. Gable, I don't want any milk tonight. You can head to bed." The knocking stopped for a beat, then a crisp, female voice answered. "Ethan, open the door. It's me." Chloe? What was she doing up so late? I opened the door to find her standing there in a bathrobe, looking at me with a pitiful expression. She must have come straight from the shower. Her hair was still damp, and I watched a drop of water trickle from the ends, down her neck, and disappear beneath the collar of her robe. That look, combined with her stunning face and an expression of vulnerability that was so out of character for her, made my own face feel like it was on fire. I quickly turned and walked back into my room, trying to escape her magnetic presence. I sat on the edge of my bed as she followed me in. "What do you really want, Chloe? And don't give me that lost key excuse again, because I'm not buying it." She stopped in front of me, her eyes filled with a stubbornness I'd never noticed before, her voice laced with hurt. "Ethan, you didn't answer my texts." She had a point there. I tried to placate her. "I told you I was filming. You didn't have to worry about anyone figuring." Before I could finish, she cut me off, her voice quiet. "Was it all fake? Ethan, how long were we apart?" 3 years. In all that time, did you really not think about me once?" She didn't give me a chance to recover before dropping another bomb. "Don't you like me anymore, Ethan?" "Not like her? Of course I liked her. But to have her spring this on me now, I didn't know how to answer." I looked up at her, unable to read her expression. "What about you, Chloe? What's the point of all this now? So what if I like you? Am I supposed to just stand by and watch you get together with that guy from college? Or with Ryan Peterson? Does my love not count? Don't you think that would hurt me, Chloe?" I said it all calmly, but when I tried to blink, I realized my eyes were full of tears. I tilted my head back, trying to stop them from falling, but it was no use. Chloe stepped forward and knelt in front of me. Her cool, soft fingers gently wiped a tear from the corner of my eye. "Ethan," she whispered, "don't cry. It's okay." She paused when she heard my words, then took my hand. "What's senior?" she asked, a hint of exasperation in her voice. "And I have nothing to do with Ryan. He's the one who keeps coming after me, and I've already turned him down." Huh, what did she mean? Wait, something wasn't adding up. "The senior who confessed his feelings to you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "You didn't reject him." "But Ethan, I couldn't just humiliate him in public like that. I talked to him later, privately. I told him I already liked someone else." "Who?" I asked, my heart pounding. Who? Who could Chloe possibly like? I had never seen her show interest in anyone, ever. Seeing my confused expression, she gave a small, weary smile. "Well, he's been a handful since we were kids, but he's also incredibly kind. He's a total baby about pain and cries easily, but he'd get himself hurt just to save a little kitten." It was never his looks that attracted me. It was his brave, sincere heart. Her hand came up to gently cup my face. The gesture seemed casual, but her eyes were locked on mine like a predator on its prey, and I couldn't look away. "Ethan," she murmured, "do you know who I'm talking about?" Who could, wait, was she talking about me? Seeing the hesitation in my eyes, she gave a small nod. "I thought I was being so obvious, but then you started avoiding me, and even ran off to another country. Don't you think that would hurt my feelings?" Oh my God, it was only in that moment that I realized I had misunderstood everything. I was ecstatic to hear her say she liked me, but one thing still bothered me. "But you said you only saw me as a little brother," I said. "Isn't it a little weird for a big sister to come into her little brother's room and say all this?" She pinched my cheek, her tone turning fierce. "What little brother? How old were you back then? I couldn't just accept your feelings. I'm Chloe Vanderbilt. I don't do things I'm not prepared for. I was only 18. I had no money or power of my own. How could I have given you the future you deserved?" "Huh. So I worked my butt off in school and I threw myself into acting, all so that when you came back, I could tell you that I, Chloe Vanderbilt, am now more than capable of pursuing you. I hope Mr. Blackwood will do me the honor of giving me a chance." I decided to tease her back, putting on an innocent smile and pinching her perfect cheek. "Oh, really? But I'm very hard to win over. We'll just have to see how you do." "I understand, Ethan baby," she murmured, laughing softly as she wrapped her arms around my waist, her warm breath tickling my skin. My face felt as hot as my skin. I gently pushed her away, telling her she should get some rest. She stood up obediently, letting me lead her by the hand to the door. She really was like that well-behaved cat the internet was talking about. The famous actress Chloe Vanderbilt, normally so cool and distant, was a completely different person with me. She was bossy and manipulative, but also sweet and affectionate. My friends always said I was a hopeless romantic, and I guess they were right. But this crush, which had lasted since I was a teenager, was finally going somewhere. When the show's production crew came to get my luggage, I had no idea who the other celebrity guests would be. It wasn't until I arrived on location and saw Chloe, with Ryan Peterson stuck to her side like glue, that I realized my world had just been turned upside down. 2 days earlier, Liz had booked me on a new reality show, a wilderness survival competition that would be live-streamed 24/7. She said they had a lot of big names on board and that I needed to be on my best behavior. She claimed a lot of my haters were starting to come around, and this was my chance to capitalize on the buzz. I knew there would be big stars, but I never imagined they'd get Chloe. She saw me, gave a small, polite smile, and took my bag from me. "Hello, I'm Chloe. It's a pleasure to be working with you." Watching her put on this formal act, I just smiled back. "So we were playing pretend, were we? Fine, I could play along." "Hi, I'm Ethan. It's great to be here." Ryan, watching our all-too-familiar exchange, looked wary. He smoothly inserted himself between us. "Haha, what a coincidence. I don't think I need an introduction, right? Ethan and I are old friends." I smiled back, though it didn't reach my eyes. "Yeah, a real coincidence." A little while later, all the guests had arrived. We were shuttled to the filming location in a production van, and the live stream officially kicked off. When we got to the location, it felt strangely familiar. The hills, the creek, they all looked like, wait a minute, this was the wilderness behind the Vanderbilt's estate. My family's farm was right over the next hill. Chloe and I used to run around here all the time as kids, chasing chickens and fishing in the creek. I snuck a glance at Chloe and caught her looking right at me. She gave me a slow blink, her eyes sparkling with amusement. She knew exactly where we were. I guiltily averted my gaze and pretended to listen intently to the producer's instructions. Of course, our little exchange didn't go unnoticed by the viewers. "What's with those two? No way they don't know each other. OMG. The way Chloe just looked at Ethan. I'm dead. Don't be ridiculous. Ryan and Chloe are obviously the real power couple here. Can you stop bringing Ryan into everything? They're clearly not together. Can you people please ship responsibly and leave Chloe out of your fantasies?" The chat was already a war zone. After the producers laid out the plan, we all nodded in understanding and got ready to split into teams. The 8 of us would be divided into 2 groups. We had to forage for ingredients in the woods, then return to base camp to cook a meal, like a rustic picnic. After that, the producers promised a surprise, but they were keeping it under wraps until later that night. This shouldn't be too hard. I knew the woods behind Chloe's house were full of stuff, and since we were so close to my family's farm, it wouldn't be crossing a line to just borrow a piglet for dinner, would it? Once the teams were set, we headed off in separate directions. My team was a real piece of work. Me, Chloe, Ryan, and a sweet, bubbly actress I'd worked with before named Bailey Hayes. The other team had a pop star, another actor, and a pair of famous twin influencers. Why is my precious Ryan stuck on a team with that loser Ethan? This show is trash. Excuse me, Ethan hasn't done anything, and your boy is already playing the victim. Give me a break. OMG, this is going to be so much drama. I can't wait. LOL. The chat was flying by, but we couldn't see any of it. We just had to do our best to win over the audience, knowing that one wrong move could land us in a PR nightmare. Our team decided to split up the work. We would be in charge of finding food, while the other team would gather firewood and cooking supplies. Chloe took the lead, with Ryan sticking to her like a shadow, clearly trying to prevent me from talking to her. It was laughable. Dude, we've had more conversations than you've had hot dinners. But we were on camera, so I couldn't be bothered to start anything with him. I hung back, scanning the area for anything useful. Bailey Hayes jogged up to chat with me. "Ethan, fancy seeing you here. Haha, I haven't seen you since we wrapped that web series. It's crazy that we ended up on this show together. Haha, yeah, it's a small world. How have you been?" I'd done a small web series with Bailey a while back. She was great in it, and the show was a minor hit which gave both our careers a little boost. Bailey shrugged. "Can't complain. Things are good. You?" I chuckled. "Also good. I'm finally getting a taste of what it's like to be a big star." Suddenly, she leaned in conspiratorially and whispered, "Hey, so, do you know Chloe Vanderbilt? You two seemed pretty familiar on Twitter the other day." I glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then motioned for Bailey to lean in closer. Some things are better left unknown, I whispered dramatically. I couldn't see Bailey's reaction, but the online audience apparently found it hilarious, because the chat was flooded with LMAO. OMG, this dude is hilarious. Ha ha ha, their dynamic is so funny. My old ship is sailing again. Bailey looked like she wanted to press the issue, but just then, we heard Ryan shout from up ahead. He'd apparently found something. I went over to see what it was and was left speechless. He'd found a patch of mushrooms, but they were obviously the poisonous kind, all brightly colored and weird looking, and he was acting like he'd struck gold. He excitedly waved us over to help him pick them. Besides Ryan himself and an eager-looking Bailey, neither Chloe nor I moved an inch. Come on, let's pick them. I can make a delicious cream of mushroom soup for everyone later. I finally couldn't take it anymore. Are you sure those are edible? They look like destroying angels. You'll get seriously sick if you eat them. Ryan's face flashed with annoyance at being contradicted, but he quickly covered it with a strained smile. No way. I make soup all the time. I know my mushrooms. These should be fine. Ethan, just trust me, okay? He said, putting on his best handsome, innocent face. It's not about trusting you, man. Those things are genuinely poisonous. Don't ask me how I know. Let's just say I may have once dared a young Chloe to eat one, and it did not end well. While Bailey was still hesitating, Chloe took one look at the mushrooms, said nothing, and simply turned to walk away. Ryan immediately forgot about the mushrooms and hurried after her. Chloe, don't you like mushrooms? I make a really good soup. Chloe turned back, looking at him like he was an idiot. Ethan just said they're poisonous, she said flatly. Are you planning to poison all of us with your soup? I didn't know they were poisonous. I'm sorry, everyone. I wasn't thinking, Ryan stammered. He had clearly been trying to impress Chloe, and it had backfired spectacularly. The atmosphere was thick with awkwardness. Bailey, however, piped up cheerfully, Wow, Chloe, you're amazing. How did you know those mushrooms were poisonous? Chloe's gaze drifted over to me, her expression unreadable and dark. I had a very bad feeling about this. Sure enough, she said, I was forced to eat one once. Nearly died. I pretended not to notice her staring at me and just walked ahead. The live stream chat, of course, had seen the whole thing. LMAO, does anyone else think Chloe sounded weirdly bitter when she said that? Wow, I can't believe someone did that to her. That's awful. But props to Ethan for being the first one to spot that the mushrooms were poisonous. It's not that impressive. They obviously look poisonous. Oh yeah? Well, your boy Ryan couldn't tell, could he? Ethan's clearly smarter. As we continued on, we managed to find some cucumbers, tomatoes, and bell peppers. I had to admit, Mrs. Vanderbilt's garden was thriving. We also managed to catch a few fish in the creek and grab some eggs from a bird's nest. It wasn't easy, though. Right now, I was clinging to a tree branch, trying to reach a nest of wild eggs about 6 feet away. I'd been raiding this particular nest since I was a kid. It had been over a decade, but my skills were still sharp. I shimmied along the branch, sending a shower of leaves to the ground below. Bailey called up nervously, Ethan, be careful, don't fall. Ryan added, in a sickly sweet voice, Yeah, Ethan, be careful. We wouldn't want you to fall. Chloe, on the other hand, just stood calmly at the base of the tree, watching me without a word. I struggled forward a little more and finally reached the nest. I felt around inside. 12 eggs. Nice, the old hen was more productive than I remembered. I grabbed one and, acting on pure muscle memory, tossed it over my shoulder without looking down. Below, Chloe caught it effortlessly. The whole exchange was so smooth and natural, you'd think we'd practiced it 100 times. And we had. When we were kids, we had this hen's laying schedule figured out perfectly. I'd climb the tree to steal her eggs, and we'd both get an earful from Chloe's grandmother later. Chloe would never do the climbing, so I was always the one who grabbed the eggs, and she was the one who caught them. Watching our perfect teamwork, Bailey exclaimed, Wow, that was amazing. You and Chloe are so in sync. It's nothing, I said, my focus still on the nest. We used to do this all the time when we were kids. I was so preoccupied that I didn't even realize what I just said. Ryan, looking jealous and insecure, finally worked up the nerve to ask, Ethan, you know Chloe? His question snapped me back to reality. Yeah, we knew each other back in the day, I said casually. So we don't know each other now? Chloe suddenly interjected, her voice sharp enough to make my brain short-circuit. To smooth things over, I just laughed awkwardly. Haha, yeah, of course. We know each other now, too. Chloe just stared at me, her lips pressed into a thin line. I saw there were only a couple of eggs left in the nest, so I decided to leave them for the poor bird. I was getting ready to climb back down when I felt a strange prickling on the back of my neck, like I was being watched. I turned my head and came face to face with the mother hen. She looked from me to her half-empty nest, her tail feathers starting to puff up. Oh crap, she was about to attack. I scrambled down the trunk, but the damn bird launched itself into the air and kicked me square in the back. Ah! My scream echoed through the woods as I lost my grip and started to fall. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for impact, but instead of hitting the ground, I landed in a warm embrace. I opened my eyes. It was Chloe. I blinked again. Still Chloe. She gently set me on my feet. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I waved her off, embarrassed. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just startled me. That stupid bird." I was about to say more when I saw the hen dive-bombing our group. I grabbed Bailey's arm and yelled, "Run! That thing's vicious." So I ran, dragging Bailey, who was dragging Ryan, with Chloe bringing up the rear. We didn't stop until we were clear of the trees, all of us gasping for breath. It wasn't that I was afraid of the bird, it was just that I knew from experience how much it hurt to get pecked by it. Chloe and I had both been victims of its wrath as kids, and our legs had swollen up for a month. Once I caught my breath, I did a quick head count. Everyone was there and no one seemed to be injured. Thank God, no one got attacked. "What about the eggs?" Bailey asked, flopped down on the grass. "They're here," Ryan said, his eyes red and his voice trembling as he pulled the contents of his pocket out. I didn't mean to break them, I was just so scared. I stared in disbelief. Of the 10 eggs I'd risked my life for, 2 were smashed, and 1 was completely gone. We only had 7 left. I just sighed. "It's fine, at least we have some, we'll just have to share." I stood up and got my bearings. We'd run all the way to the other side of the woods, which put us right near my grandmother's farm. Well, in that case, we might as well go see what other ingredients we could find there. The whole time, Chloe had this icy expression on her face. I tried to talk to her a few times, but she completely ignored me. I had no idea what I'd done to upset her this time. With no other choice, I just kept chatting with Bailey, completely missing the fact that Chloe was glaring daggers at my back, her face as dark as a thundercloud. The online viewers, of course, were having a field day. LMAO, I can't believe Ethan knows how to rate a bird's nest. Did anyone else notice the weird look on Ryan's face? So Ethan and Chloe knew each other as kids. No wonder they have so much chemistry. Ha ha ha. Watching them get chased by a chicken was the funniest thing I've ever seen. When we got to the edge of the farm, I hopped the fence in full view of the Livestream cameras. The sign next to it said, "No trespassing." But I wasn't a trespasser. I was Grandma's favorite grandson. After I led the rest of the nervous group over the fence, I saw her, my grandmother. Her face, which had been stern and expressionless when she saw me, immediately broke into a warm, loving smile the moment she saw Chloe hop over the fence. This tough, sharp-eyed old woman was my grandma. Both Chloe and I were practically raised by our grandmothers, so we were all very close. I walked up to her with a big, goofy grin. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said, laying it on thick. "Do you happen to know where we could find a piglet? We're filming a show, and we'd love to buy one from you. We could even give your farm some free publicity, of course." My grandma looked at me, then at Chloe, then let out a loud humph, and proceeded to ignore me completely. The others looked around, totally confused. Bailey tugged on my sleeve, trying to get me to leave, but I stood my ground, locked in a silent standoff with my grandma. After what felt like an eternity, my grandma finally spoke. "For Chloe's sake," she said, "I'll let you have a piglet, but you have to come and catch it yourselves." "Deal." "Thank you, Grandma," I said, happily following her and waving for the others to come along. Everyone except Chloe looked completely baffled. LMAO, Ethan is so shameless. He's really going to eat a piglet. This whole thing has the producers completely stumped. "Hey guys, doesn't this pig pen look kind of familiar?" "Yeah, it looks just like the one from Ethan's live stream." We followed my grandma into the very familiar pig pen. It was them, the piglets I had raised. They'd gotten so big and fat, perfect for a roast. Just thinking about a suckling pig for dinner made my mouth water. "Here I come, my little piggies." The moment we stepped into the pen, Ryan's face twisted in disgust. Bailey noticed and asked with concern, "Ryan, are you okay? You don't look so good." Ryan nodded weakly. "Yeah, it's just, this place is so dirty. I'm feeling a little sick." "Sick? Dude, this place gets hosed down 3 times a day and completely cleaned out every other day." What was he talking about? Did I scrub all those troughs for nothing? While I was fuming internally, Chloe turned to me. "So, which one are we eating? Chloe, are we really going to eat one of these piglets?" Ryan said, his voice full of fake concern. "They're living creatures, and it must be so hard for this old woman to raise them all by herself." His ridiculous speech almost made me laugh out loud. Chloe was looking at him with an amused expression, and I could see my grandma rolling her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. I was speechless. If I had committed a crime, I'd rather be judged by a jury than listen to this guy's sanctimonious lecture. First of all, I said, we didn't find any other main course. Are we supposed to eat leaves for dinner? You're worried about this one pig, but what about all the steak and lobster you eat? Second, this place is spotless. And third, this farm is a state-of-the-art, automated operation. This old woman probably makes more in a day than you'll make in your entire life. So maybe you should worry about yourself. The chat exploded. You don't have to be so mean to Ryan just because you don't like him. Damn, Ethan is savage. But he's not wrong. Can you trolls do anything besides spew hate? Is it just me? Or is there something really weird going on between Chloe and Ethan? Guys, that pig pen looks exactly like the one from his live stream. I watched Ryan's face turn beet red. He looked at Chloe, his eyes welling up with tears. Chloe, I just need a minute, he stammered, then covered his face and ran out of the pen. Chloe's expression didn't change. She just gave a slight nod. Bailey looked worriedly from us to Ryan's retreating figure, then ran out after him. I knew my words would probably get me a ton of hate online, but I didn't care. You can insult me all you want, but you can't insult my grandmother's hard work. My family is my line in the sand. After the two of them were gone, I looked at Chloe, then at my grandma, and I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I burst out laughing. My grandma walked over and rapped me on the head a few times. You little rascal, she scolded. You just up and leave without a word, leaving this old woman all alone with the pigs. Me, Chloe, and the entire internet were speechless. I just grinned sheepishly. I couldn't help it, Grandma. It was a last-minute job I didn't have time to call. Who knew the show would be filming here? What a coincidence. Everyone, this is my grandma, I announced. My actual grandma. Grandma, I want roasted pig. My grandma shot me a glare. Chloe hasn't said what she wants yet. We'll see what Chloe wants to eat. The entire time, Chloe had been giving me the silent treatment. Even now, she wouldn't look at me. I subtly tugged on her sleeve, giving her my best puppy dog eyes. Come on, Chloe, I was really craving that roasted pig. Chloe shot me a sideways glance, then finally gave in. Grandma, she said politely, I'd love some roasted pig too. Normally, anything Chloe asked for, my grandma would grant with a smile. But this time, we didn't get our roasted pig. Chloe and I stood in the pen, and seeing how big the piglets I'd raised had gotten, I felt a sense of pride. I decided to pick one lucky piglet for our dinner. I spotted the dark one with the underbite and called out tentatively, "No poop, Sherlock!" The piglet, which had been dozing in a corner, immediately perked up and trotted over to us. Ashley loves ugly dudes. Broke boy for life? I called out a few more names, and to my surprise, they all seemed to remember me, crowding around and rubbing against my legs. They were clean and didn't smell at all. They were actually pretty cute. I glanced over at Chloe. She was just watching me with that cool, detached expression. Go ahead, I thought, play it cool. I know what you're really like. I decided to mess with her. Chloe, I yelled. Just as she turned her head, the chubby white piglet came running towards me. I knelt down and stroked its smooth coat. Good girl, Chloe, I cooed. Ethan, Chloe said, her voice dangerously low. What did you just call it? I'm gonna ask you one more time. What did you call that pig? The chat was going wild. Chloe seeing a piglet, 0% amused. Chloe hearing her name given to a piglet, 1,000,000% amused. I stood up, grinning. Chloe, it's the name from my live stream. It's a great name, don't you think? Chloe looked at me, a fake smile plastered on her face. It's a lovely name, she said through clenched teeth. Just lovely. The chat was mercilessly roasting Chloe. LMAO, he's trolling her to her face. Chloe, excuse me? What did you call it? I'm asking you what you called it. These two together are comedy gold. Chloe, waking up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. Seriously, what is wrong with him? I'm not laughing because one of those pigs is named after my username. Looking at the herd of piglets, I turned to Chloe. So, which one should we eat? She turned away, avoiding my eyes. I don't care, she muttered. All right then, we'll eat, Chloe cackled. Ethan, she yelled. I started chasing the pigs, but they were way too fast for me. A little help here, I yelled at her. What are you just standing there for? Chloe lunged for a piglet that ran past her, but she missed. The chubby white one named Chloe was the fastest of them all. The two of us couldn't even get close to it. In the end, we caught nothing, and just ended up breathless and covered in mud. My grandma found us like that and gave us a piece of her mind, saying that if we couldn't even catch a pig, we didn't deserve to eat one. If she'd had a shotgun, she probably would have used it on us. But eventually, After some shameless begging from me and some gentle persuasion from the producers, my grandma relented and gave us a large pork leg. With our main course secured, it was time to cook. By the time Chloe and I got back to camp with the pork leg, the others had already started a fire and were prepping the other food. Even though they were all big celebrities, everyone was surprisingly down-to-earth and easygoing. The whole atmosphere was cheerful and relaxed. We all sat on the grass, picnic style, chatting and laughing as the pork leg sizzled over the fire. It was a genuinely happy and peaceful moment. But of course, someone had to ruin it by showing off. Ryan picked up a piece of cucumber salad with his fork and offered it to Chloe. "Chloe, here, try this. The cucumber is really fresh." It was such a cringe-worthy, obvious move. Sure, Chloe was a big star, but there were more senior actors there, and his blatant sucking up was making everyone uncomfortable. Chloe just looked at him and said flatly, "Thanks, but I don't like cucumber." Then she scraped the entire portion into my bowl. It was such a boss move. Everyone around us audibly gasped and stared at me. I shot Chloe a subtle glare, trying to tell her to cool it before she blew our cover. I looked around at everyone's shocked faces, not really getting it. What was the big deal? I liked cucumber, so I just ate it all. "I'm just going to have the eggs," I announced. "Everyone should try one. They're delicious. Wild eggs are the best." Then I froze. There were 8 of us, but only 7 eggs. That meant someone wouldn't get one. Looking around, I realized it would be best if I was the one to go without. One of the other actors, Mark, saw my dilemma and quickly jumped in. "Haha, Ethan's right. Let's eat up. I'm actually pretty full, so I'll pass on the egg. You guys have it." His offer started a chain reaction of everyone politely refusing the eggs. In the end, Chloe gave her egg to Mark. I gave her a mental thumbs up. She was a pro at handling these social situations. But just as I was thinking that, she reached her fork over to my plate, neatly split my egg in half, and took one of the pieces for herself. Everyone else just stared. I quickly tried to play it off. "Ha ha ha. It's no big deal. We share food all the time. It's totally normal. Haha. Everyone, eat up." My comment, of course, only made everyone more curious. One of the influencer twins asked, "Ethan, dude, that live stream you did was hilarious." Ha ha ha. My face grew hot. Crap, I knew this was coming. Luckily, I had a prepared answer. "Haha, yeah, I was just super bored. Hope it didn't offend anyone." "Maybe other people don't mind," Ryan chimed in. "But how do you know Chloe doesn't? You named a pig after her." His comment put me right back in the hot seat, completely ignoring the fact that Chloe was sitting right there. He was only this bold because he knew Chloe couldn't be bothered to engage with him. Everyone looked at me with a mixture of pity and amusement. It was a joke. Everyone in Hollywood knew Ryan was obsessively protective of Chloe and would sabotage anyone who got too close to her. All because his mother was a powerful producer. I just smiled, about to respond, when Chloe herself spoke up. She elegantly finished a bite of food, then said calmly, "I don't mind. Ethan and I are friends. It was just a joke." Her words were casual, but Ryan saw the ice-cold warning in her eyes. He visibly flinched, looking like he'd just been hit with a blast of Arctic air. He was stunned for a moment, then just nodded awkwardly. "Haha, yeah, I knew you and Ethan were close." Chloe's simple statement defused the whole situation, and the rest of the dinner was actually fun. We sat around the campfire, eating the roasted pork and singing songs. It wasn't until the end of the night that the producers revealed their final surprise. While we were all enjoying the campfire, the producers dropped a bombshell on us. The cabin they'd booked for us only had 6 bedrooms. Since there were 8 of us, that meant 2 people would have to sleep outside in a tent. Everyone went quiet. After such a long day, nobody wanted to be the one sleeping in a tent on the cold ground. Seeing that no one was volunteering, and remembering all the nights I'd spent camping out as a kid, I figured I could handle it. I raised my hand. "I'll take the tent," I said. Everyone looked at me, surprised. Then, a moment later, Chloe said, "I'll sleep in the tent too." Now everyone was staring, their jaws on the floor. No one had seen that coming. Ryan immediately protested. "Chloe, a girl like you can't sleep in a tent. I'll do it instead." He hadn't said a word before, but the moment Chloe volunteered, he suddenly became a gentleman. I knew exactly what he was trying to do. "Why can't I?" Chloe asked, frowning at him. "I'm just worried about you, Chloe. You're not used to roughing it," Ryan said, flustered. He clearly hadn't expected her to push back, and the jealousy in his eyes was practically spilling out. The producers, having gotten the drama they wanted, announced that the live stream was over for the night and told everyone to get some sleep. We all said our goodnights, and while the others headed to the cabin, Chloe and I made our way to the tent. It was all so familiar, the place and the person next to me. Instead of going into the tent, I sat down on the grass and looked up at the stars and the full moon. I felt like I was a kid again, without a care in the world, chasing fireflies and running around until we were exhausted, then collapsing on this very lawn to watch the night sky. I heard a rustle in the grass beside me. I didn't have to look to know who it was. Are the cameras off? I asked. Is the live stream really over? You're being pretty bold, getting this close to me. Chloe sat down beside me. They're off, she said coolly. The online audience, who were, in fact, still watching us. After she spoke, we sat in silence for a moment. I finally broke it. Hey, Chloe, you knew the show was going to be filming here, didn't you? You planned this. Chloe just shook her head, her eyes wide with innocence. No, Ethan, I had no idea. I didn't know we'd be filming so close to your grandma's. She looked so different from her usual cool, aloof self. Yeah, right, I thought. Keep up the act. I'm not pretending, she said, her voice full of hurt as she toyed with the hem of my shirt. You're the one who said we should keep our distance on the show. I was just doing what you wanted, right? I scoffed and pulled my shirt away. You wouldn't dare? Everything you did today was suspicious. If this blows up and we start trending, I swear, I'll kill you. The online audience. We've been suspicious for a while, we just didn't have proof. Now we do. They're totally together. Chloe nuzzled her head against my shoulder. Then why don't we just admit it? She said softly. Admit what? There's nothing to admit. Have I even agreed to let you pursue me yet? She buried her face in the crook of my neck, acting like a big, affectionate cat, greedily inhaling my scent. Then what do I have to do to make you accept my pursuit? She murmured. Don't you like me anymore, Ethan? What do I have to do to make you like me? I looked down at her. Her bangs fell across her eyes, and the flickering light of the campfire danced on her face, making her eyes sparkle like they held entire galaxies. I was completely mesmerized. It wasn't that I didn't like her. I was just terrified that none of this was real. If it was all an act, what would I do? Ethan, she said softly, do you know why I named his kitten Ethan, too? It's because Rocky, he passed away while you were abroad. But before he died, he had a son. Did you know, Ethan, that even at the very end, he kept trying to lift his head, like he was looking for you? The vet said he was holding on for someone. It was like he was afraid you wouldn't be able to find him, so he left a part of himself behind for you, so his son could see you for him. This was only the second time in my life I had ever seen Chloe get choked up, her eyes red with tears. The first was the day I got cut. She paused, collecting herself before she continued. So I realized that sometimes, I'm not even as brave as that little cat. He loved you so much, and he never got to see you again. If I keep hesitating, I might lose my chance with you forever, too. My own voice was thick with tears I hadn't realized were there. But why couldn't you have told me sooner? Do you have any idea how heartbroken I was when I left? Do you know what those years were like for me? MMPH. In one swift movement, Chloe grabbed my wrist, pushed me back onto the grass, and kissed me. I closed my eyes, feeling her heart pound against my chest. A single, hot tear fell from her eye onto my cheek. I opened my eyes. Chloe was crying. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry. Tears welled in her eyes, clinging to her long lashes. My first thought was, ridiculously, damn, she's beautiful even when she cries. But that thought was fleeting. She held my wrist in a death grip with one hand, while her other arm was wrapped so tightly around my waist it felt like she was trying to fuse me to her. I was running out of air, I couldn't breathe. I pushed at her gently, and she obediently loosened her grip, only to give me 2 more soft pecks on the lips. My face was burning. I shyly pushed her away and turned my head. I heard her low, soft laugh, and then she gently took my chin and turned my face back towards hers. Her eyes were still shimmering with tears, which caught the firelight and glowed like liquid gold. I don't remember much of what happened after that. All I know is that we were finally together. The girl I'd loved since I was a kid was finally mine, which is why I was now at a karaoke bar with my best friend, Tom Vance, completely drunk and sobbing about how confused and terrified I was. He just patted my back, telling me not to worry. Who could have predicted this? I woke up the next morning, and my phone had blown up with notifications. The top trending topics on Twitter were #shocking, Chloe Vanderbilt confesses to Ethan Blackwood #, Chloe and Ethan kiss in tears #, my ship is real Chloe loves Ethan #, Chloe finally gets her first love #. I stared at the high-definition clips from the live stream, completely stunned. I sat on my bed, totally lost. I thought the stream was off. How did this happen? What were we going to do? We were together, yes, but now was definitely not the right time to go public. I tried calling Chloe a few times, but she didn't answer. I checked my iMessage. She'd sent a text telling me not to worry, to just stick to my schedule and deny everything. She said she would handle it. Easy for her to say. I was still freaking out. Luckily, we had just wrapped filming for the show. Liz saw I was a mess and gave me a couple of days off. She was busy dealing with the PR nightmare, so I called up my best friend, Tom, who I hadn't seen in ages, and we went to a karaoke bar to get drunk and so I could get his advice. What do I think? Tom said. I think it's about damn time. I've been watching you two drive each other crazy since you were kids. So it got a little messy. Who cares what other people think? You like her, so be with her. Chloe can be sharp and a little cold sometimes, but anyone can see she's crazy about you. Don't you like her, Ethan? I do like her, but I'm scared. Before I could finish, Tom cut me off. So you like her, that's all that matters. They say love can't move mountains, but it can sure as hell heal any regrets, right? His words hit me. I thought about it. That's what love was, wasn't it? Every time I was in trouble, Chloe was always there, protecting me, fixing things for me. So this time, it was my turn to be brave. Realizing this, Tom and I proceeded to get completely wasted, singing and dancing like idiots in our private karaoke room. When Chloe's call came through, I was pretty out of it, but I managed to answer, slurring my words. Hello. I heard her soft laugh on the other end. Hey, sweetie. What I didn't know was that Chloe was currently filming a reality show, the very same one I had been on, with the same penalty for losing. And as it happened, Chloe had just lost a round. Her penalty was to call 4 people from her contacts and try to borrow $20 million. It was a huge amount, but Chloe didn't seem worried at all. In front of the live audience, she opened her phone's contact list. The first person she called was saved as Her Majesty, the Queen. The person on the other end answered, Hello? Who's this? Hi, Mom. I need to borrow $20 million. There was a long pause, then a cold laugh. Humph. Now you remember you have a mother? I don't have 20 million, and even if I did, I wouldn't lend it to you. Go ask your sweetie for it. I gave all my money to him. Then she hung up. The call lasted less than 10 seconds, and the audience erupted in laughter. No one expected the famous actress's family life to be so hilarious. As they laughed, everyone started speculating about who this sweetie could be. The second person she called was saved as Sweetie's dad. It rang for a long time before a man answered. Hello? What? I don't have any money. Your mother has all my money. I'm broke. Stop calling me and call your sweetie. Then he hung up too. Chloe hadn't even gotten a word in before being shut down. The audience was howling with laughter. Chloe just smiled wearily. She still had 2 chances left. She decided to call the contact saved as Big Sis. What do you want? A deep, sultry female voice answered, making the audience swoon. Hey sis, I need to borrow 20 million. There was a pause. Chloe, what is going on with you? Are you telling me after all this drama, you still haven't landed your sweetie? I've given you so many opportunities, and you still can't close the deal? The whole world is trying to get you two together, and you're still not official? How can I lend you money when you're failing so spectacularly? The day your sweetie posts on Twitter that you're together, I won't just give you 20 million. I'll give you 2 billion as a wedding present. Chloe didn't get angry. She just smiled and said, Thanks, sis. I'll do my best. Her sister seemed surprised, then just snorted. We'll see if you've got what it takes. Then she hung up. For her last chance, Chloe called the contact saved as My Ethan. At this point, it wasn't even a mystery. Everyone knew who it was. Who else could it be? When I finally answered, the entire studio audience held its breath. Hello. Hey, sweetie, Chloe said. Hearing the noise in the background, she frowned. Sweetie, where are you? I was completely wasted, sprawled out on the couch. Where am I again? I turned to Tom, who made a gesture. Oh, right. I slurred into the phone. I'm at a karaoke bar, getting drunk. That's great. You want some? Chloe's grip on her phone tightened. I'm not drinking, she said, her voice like ice. And neither are you. I'm coming to get you. Her cold tone was the last straw for my drunken, emotional brain. I burst into tears. My life is so hard. I sobbed. You know that Everyone in the studio was on the edge of their seats, waiting to hear what I would say next. They were not prepared for what came out of my mouth. You know it. I'm a goofy goober, yeah. You're a goofy goober, yeah. We're all goofy goobers, yeah. I started singing into the phone at the top of my lungs. The entire internet and Chloe. Tom finally had enough of my drunken antics. He snatched the phone from me. 20 million, right? I'll send it to you. Just come get him from the usual spot. And hurry, I can't deal with him anymore. Then he hung up. Less than 3 minutes later, a notification for a $20 million transfer popped up on Chloe's phone. The entire studio was stunned silent for a moment, then erupted into the loudest laughter yet. And for the first time that night, Chloe laughed along with them, a weary, helpless laugh. After the show wrapped, one of the hosts asked, So, Chloe, what are your plans for the rest of the night? Chloe just sighed, a small smile on her face. What else? I'm gonna go pick up that crybaby and take him home. By the time Chloe arrived, I had passed out. She and Tom had to carry me to her car. Before she left, Tom gave her a stern warning. I know you really like him, Chloe, so please be good to him. If you ever hurt him, you'll have to answer to me. Chloe looked Tom straight in the eye. I will, she said. You know how much I love him. Tom nodded, satisfied, and waved as she drove away. The kid he'd watched grow up had finally found his happiness. When I woke up, I was in a familiar room. It was Chloe's house, in the guest room she always kept for me. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching me. You're awake, she said softly. Are you hungry? Does your head hurt? Can I get you anything? I tried to remember what had happened the night before, but my mind was a complete blank. Yesterday, I asked hesitantly. I didn't say anything stupid, did I? All I could remember was answering her call. Seeing the wicked little smile on her face, I knew I was in trouble. Not at all, Ethan, she said sweetly. You just sang a little song. I grabbed my phone and saw the trending topics, along with a viral video of my performance. Seeing that the hashtags weren't going away, I made a decision. If we couldn't kill the story, we might as well lean into it. I looked up into Chloe's deep, dark eyes. Chloe, I said, let's go public. She looked stunned. Sweetie, what did you just say? Can you say that again? I'll say it again, I said, holding her gaze. Let's make it official. She shot up and threw her arms around my waist, her body trembling with excitement. I could feel her happiness radiating off her, and I felt it too. I'd loved her for so long. Why should I care what anyone else thought? Love could heal all regrets, and for once, my heart was winning out over my head. A little while later, Chloe and I posted a photo of the two of us holding Rocky's son. My caption read, "Love can cross any distance and heal any regret." Chloe's caption, however, was, "I finally have all the Ethans in my arms." Within minutes of posting, our Twitter accounts blew up. Most of the comments were supportive, though there were some skeptics. But we didn't care. It was just us. We were finally just us. We looked at each other, our eyes shining with tears, and we both burst out laughing. Nothing could ever come between us again.